Prophet, are
Boom.
you with us, brother?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We sure can. We sure can. Thanks for coming on. And again, I apologize for I double booked for those who don't know, I double booked Prophet for the 10th with our tomorrow's call, but he's working with us. So we appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, no worries. And thanks so much for having me on.
Um, I've been following you for a while. You're pretty prolific in the space, and I think you have a lot of interesting, unique, and cool ideas. So it's awesome to get to talk to you here. Were you on Thread Guy yesterday? Did I see that correctly?
Yes, I was. And for those who saw, yeah, I wore my mask, which was fun. First time.
Oh, that was the first time wearing the mask.
Well, I'd worn it before at like Breakpoint and stuff, but never on like a podcast. I
Got
probably
you.
would have worn it today if I was in my office right now, but yeah.
Got you. Well, we'll have to get you back on in full mask form one of these days.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Breakpoint, are you doing Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi here coming up in December?
I still haven't booked it. It's just I don't really want to go to Abu Dhabi. It doesn't sound like a good time, especially on December 15th. But yeah, probably yes. What about you?
We're gonna definitely go with the Meteora squad for Met Dhabi. Obviously, it's all surrounding that Breakpoint, so we might bounce over to Breakpoint too in the following days. But like you said, bro, it's like it's getting close to that Christmas time, and uh, but if I'm flying over to Dubai from the States here, it's expensive in a 14 and a half hour flight, so I might as well kind of make the full experience out of it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I guess we'll kick it off just with this tweet here. You were kind of, I think, early in proliferating this idea of futarchy. And again, it's kind of started to blow up recently, and you've seen Meta's gotten a ton of attention in some of the ICOs you're doing. Maybe start us off with a baseline of what is futarchy to you, and explain, I guess, why in this tweet you said you wish you would kind of scrub it and change and evolve that terminology.
Sure, yeah. So Futarchy, the TLDR is market-driven governance mechanism. So like historically, most people in crypto are probably familiar with token voting, like this idea where yeah, these projects have historically had you vote with your tokens, like Jupiter is an example of this, on what the project should do. And in Futarchy instead, people trade on what you should do. It's essentially yeah, it's kind of like a betting market on what would be the price of the token if you did something and what would be the price of the token if you didn't. So yeah, like with Jupiter, for example, uh, if they decided to make a Jupiary decision through this, they would have a market on what would be the value or price of Jupe if you did Jupiary, and what would be the value if you didn't do Jupiary. And like one maybe the market is like, okay, Jupe would be worth $1.50 if you don't do Jupiary, and $1 if you do. Because the incremental dilution, and so you should not do Jupiary. That's like the high level on how it works.
So you kind of have this prediction market. It gives you a number, and then based off of that idea, it's giving you then can choose to make that decision, or how does it come down to a yes no? Who makes the decision there at the end of the day?
Yeah, it's all automated based on the prices. So we just take a time weighted average price of both the markets, and basically, if traders are like this thing would make the number go up, then we do it, and if not, we don't.
Does this look complicated, or is this sort of a back end thing where people just kind of do their thing? It's super simple, and then on the back end, it's a little more complicated. Um, how would you break that down?
I think it's more complicated for people than I originally thought it would be. I mean, it's yeah. I think it takes about 20 minutes basically for it to click, like for you to participate in your first market. And then
Hmm.
after that, it's all completely simple. But there is some kind of like, I mean, voting is also not so simple for people who have not done it before. Like the country of Bhutan was like not a democracy until recently. And so I think in like, yeah, 10 years ago, they started doing voting, and they had to do a vote, like a test vote on who should win, like the yellow dragon or the red dragon, just so people understood how voting worked.
No way.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I think it takes about 20 minutes.
Okay, so you would say I've actually never participated in something like this. So I would basically connect my wallet just like a normal governance vote, and there would be a market attached to a yes or a no side. I'm just trying to conceptualize this here.
Yeah, exactly. So, say you would be, say you own a bunch of Jupe, and you'd like to sell it if they do this Jupiary thing. You're like, okay, if you do Jupiary, I'm out.
Mm.
You would sell it in the pass market. So that's the like if this happens market.
Oh,
And then if Jupiary, if the decision does go through, then your trade is executed, so you've like sold, and you now have the dollars that you get out at like whatever price you sold at. And if it doesn't happen, um, so like you're happy, you just keep your jupe. It's like the trade never happened.
Got you.
Mhm.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Well, then maybe now I guess the next question is why would you want to scrub the site plus docs of the word futarchy and kind of evolve it?
Yeah, I mean, in crypto we have lots of metas, right? Like right now there's a BNB, like Chinese letter meta. There have been like dog metas, cat metas, and I don't really want there to just like people just to see this as like a futarchy meta, just like this new thing that is like a narrative that's gonna die, like all the other ones. Because like the ownership meta has been going strong for hundreds, if not thousands of years, right? Like we have, um, right? Like people have owned enterprises, right? They've like had stocks and stuff for hundreds of years, and we're trying to like tilt back towards that, right? And so, and I also just think ownership coins is a much more it's a clearer pitch to a founder, right? If you're a founder, you're building a new crypto project and you want to ship fast, and I come to you and I'm like, hey, I want to launch a futarchy, you're gonna be like, what? No, that doesn't sound practical. Like that's not gonna help me. But if I'm like, hey, I can help you launch an ownership coin where you align your users more and your early believers where they have an actual stake in you, then you might be like, okay, you may still say no, but I think you would at least be more interested.
So you think the messaging around futarchy kind of needs to change a bit?
Yeah, and it's not just futarchy that we use. Like there's also this whole legal component where like yeah, the intellectual property is owned by this entity that it kind of gives ownership to the token holders via futarchy.
Okay. We kind of jump ship. I guess we never even really asked about yourself, kind of, and your background, got to know you a little bit. So maybe Profit will retroactively go back here. Tell us about yourself and like how you got into crypto, what your background is, and how you created this DAO that you have today, MetaDAO.
Sure. I'm an engineer, like software engineer by trade. I used to work at a big tech company. And yeah, I mean, I just fell down a crypto rabbit hole. Especially like with DeFi. I mean, the first time I made a swap through Uniswap, I was immediately like, "Oh my God, this is the future of finance." Which, like, I don't know, maybe it's not obvious given how long it takes and how expensive it is, but it just made sense to me. And yeah, so I
When
worked in
was that?
Ethereum.
Like
That was
2017.
uh, well, I actually originally got into crypto around 2018, but then like really full sended around 2020, 2021. And yeah, so and then worked in Ethereum DeFi for a while, and then became Profit and started working on MetaDAO.
Got you. When you talk about Ethereum DeFi, Chill's kind of got a big background in Ethereum DeFi, if I
I
remember
was just
correctly.
gonna ask, what did you like? What was the history there? What did you do?
Yeah, so this was pre-profit, so I don't know how much I want to disclose, but basically I worked for the larger Ethereum DeFi projects. I mean, yeah, if you were using Ethereum DeFi, uh, like actively, you probably had money deposited in at least one smart contract that I wrote.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so you're building infrastructure as an engineer for these larger DeFi projects. Okay.
Right.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, you get the sense that there's a lot in terms of from an ethos standpoint, from a technological standpoint that was born on Ethereum. And we've talked to many founders that have, they've kind of like some of these ideas. Just the other day, there was an ex Olympus DAO uh, a team member that was on, and that experience there from his ETH days kind of put him down this path and contributed to what he's doing now. So definitely think that that might be the same for you here. But yeah, so like, how did this all lead to MetaDAO?
I mean, yeah, I had experience at DeFi DAOs with like misaligned decision making, and then also at the big tech company I worked at. So I remember, yeah, there was a project I was working on. Where everything was going according to schedule. Like it was me and a few other engineers, everything was good. But the guy who ran the project, I think he wanted to be promoted basically. Like his title was senior manager and he wanted to be director. And so we got 41 additional engineers staffed on the project, which then like delayed everything, and obviously it was a huge waste of money and time for the company. And I was kind of like, huh, like why is this happening, right? Like I thought companies were supposed to want to make money and actually make good decisions, and I realized like, oh, there's misaligned incentives. We're like, it's in actually it's good for him to do this, even though it's bad for the company. And so I had those experiences, and then I'd been into markets ever since I was a kid. Like, yeah, I guess a lot of kids are into like fantasy leagues and stuff. I was into like yeah, stocks and multiples and trying to figure out whether they would go up or down. Um, and one thing I learned through that, and yeah, maybe something that you guys have found or other listeners have found, is like it's actually pretty hard to consistently beat the market over a long period of time, right? Um, and a big reason why that is because you have all these smart people around the world that are competing to predict the future and make money. Um, and like you can get an edge, but it's not easy to do so because it's this competitive game. And so then I stumbled across this idea where you could have markets make decisions, and I was immediately like, okay, I've seen the problem of decision making. I've seen how markets can be good, and maybe not perfectly efficient, but like pretty good. So like, yeah, I have to work on this basically.
So you've seen the problem. Oh, oh, sorry. Misclicked. So you've seen the problem. You've now seen a way to fix that problem and fill the gap in the market. So why do you think that MetaDAO is the way to fix that gap?
I mean, yeah, we're the main platform today for doing this. I mean, kind of the only one actually live in production. So yeah, I guess that's the case today. It's just that we're the only one doing it.
How's the response been? I can see here that you have a lot of interesting people you're working with, and I want to get into these ICOs later too. But how's that response been? Like you got Drift here, Island DAO, Marinade working with you, Jitto, like a bunch of very prominent companies using this technology. When you go and I guess pitch this to them, what does the response look like in that sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of done selling governance software to larger organizations because I think it's very hard. Like, yeah, if you're a really big crypto organization like Jito or Drift, it doesn't make as much sense for you to experiment with this new system. And so that's hence why like our current focus on ICOs.
Okay, sweet. Well, let's talk ICOs. You recently had an ICO go pretty viral, I would say, and do really well. This Umbra privacy ICO, right? Ansem even gave you a tweet, shouted out, talked about privacy and how important it is. I don't know if you want to speak on Umbra itself as a company, but maybe tell us about, if you can, about Umbra and some of these ICOs that you guys are doing.
Sure. Yeah. So they're building privacy. They're building privacy products basically. Like you can swap, but without that being revealed to everybody, which is important because if you're a trader and yeah, you're trading these like low cap shitters, then you're losing money on execution because people are seeing, oh, this guy's gonna trade out of this position, so let me like front run him, let me sell in front of him or like buy if he's buying. Um, and privacy fixes that, so that's why I'm bullish on them. And yeah, it's been insane to see. I mean, we're now above 5,000 people, and last I haven't checked it this morning, but when I went to bed, it was $11,500, which is insane because like he could actually take all that. I don't think he's going to, but I mean that's like a real round, right? 11, like yeah, I mean more than $10 million is insane for.
14 million committed.
It's 14 million. Holy shit.
14, and the minimum raise was 750K. So it's absolutely just, I mean, and then you can see OmniPair over here has 1.1 million raised with a target of 300. So just
Right.
like these are getting some serious traction.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why is because people see. So yeah, OmniPair raised $1 million. Well, originally, his minimum was 300. He wanted to raise $300,000, raised a million, and now the token is up like I think 10 to 20x for the investors. And so I think that's a big reason why people are also excited about this.
So would you call yourself more of a launch pad or an incubator?
Uh, I don't like the word launchpad because I think it's been sullied, but I would call us a fundraising platform.
Okay, fundraising platform. So then your role in here is helping raise these funds. What do you guys kind of get from that? How do you profit off of providing providing this solution here?
Sure. So when they launch, I mean, yeah, similar to like Pump or uh, launch pads, liquidity goes on our AMM, and we take, yeah, we clip taker fees on all that.
Okay, so this is your own AMM that you built.
Yep.
Okay, very cool. When it comes to people that are just trying to ICO and raise money, you call it a fundraising platform. Is it hand selected by you guys, or pretty just democratized in the sense that anyone can kind of do this?
Today we choose. We want to make it so that anyone can launch on MetaDAO easily, like and instantly. The main constraint there is actually legal. Like we have to spin up a legal entity for all these projects, and it takes like
Mm.
30 days and some money. And yeah, so we're working right now with a company to make it much faster and cheaper.
Interesting. Is for this, are you guys doing like BD outreach to these projects? We talked about earlier, you kind of like got tired of doing outreach to drift in these big, protocols. Are you doing BD to find these people, or are they largely coming to you?
I've tried to do BD, and I've actually found the quality of people is much higher when they just DM me, right? Like I went on a tour. I went to Dubai, Japan, Vietnam, a bunch of places, Turkey, and tried to meet with builders like through super teams and whatnot.
Mhm.
It was okay, but I've had way higher success of just like I publish an article explaining what we're doing, and then someone DMs me and is like, "Hey, here's what I'm building. I think it could be a fit."
Interesting.
And so with MetaDAO, you're kind of like, I should just ask this: what is your view on equity? And we see a lot of projects or a lot of ways of kind of like trying to tie value from one to the other. Like, what is your view on equity, and if and how that fits into tokens, or if it doesn't fit into it at all?
Yeah, equity is great. Equity is an asset class that's existed for hundreds of years, and it's been used to fund hundreds of thousands of businesses. I think everything that we should be doing should be trying to get to as close as equity as possible. And also, most like, yeah, Bitcoin is a several trillion dollar asset. The stock market is like, I think, an $80 trillion asset, right? Or like asset class. So yeah, like the stock market is way bigger than Bitcoin. It's also way bigger than currencies. Like the US dollar or gold is not that big relative to the stock market. Um, and yeah, I basically think all these people trying to just do like currencies are going to go to zero, right? Because
Mhm.
we have Bitcoin, that is the cryptocurrency. And it's like there, we don't really need a bunch of cryptocurrencies. We pretty much just need one. And so I think, yeah, I mean, what you see with a typical meme coin, which we can call a cryptocurrency, is yeah, just like maybe some hot speculative trading activity at the start, but eventually it just goes to zero.
Got it. Got it.
Do
You
do
know,
you think this futarchy, or maybe I'm saying the name wrong, futarchy is what I've just been saying. Do you think it's largely seeing popularity because of the prediction market surge we're seeing?
Uh, Maybe I'm not sure. But we're actually another word for it is decision markets, and I think we're gonna pivot to that
Mm,
terminology because it's clear, right? Like futarchy
interesting.
feels like alien technology. Decision markets is like, oh, okay, I understand what that means.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I like that pivot. Chill, I'm not sure if you had a question you were trying to get in here with, but I do have something next if you.
no, no, you can go with what you had next. You answered it.
Um, and I do want to kind of circle back later to that equity conversation and how these tokens that you're, um, fundraising for provide value or how they add value. We'll also talk about that with the meta token. But you put out this tweet that said crypto doesn't have a customer acquisition problem; it has a retention problem. I'm more focused on plugging leaks and optimizing the gambling experience. We talked to Vibu on this channel from the Solana Foundation a while ago, and he kind of had the same outlook where it's like, no, no, it's not that crypto doesn't have enough people coming. It's just there is a demand issue, or the issue isn't supply, it's demand. It's not that we have too many projects launching, it's that there's zero demand for crypto and money coming in. I don't know if that's very similar to this tweet, but maybe you can just elaborate on the customer acquisition problem that you kind of touched on here.
Sure. Yeah, so MetaMask in 2021 had 40 million monthly active users. Phantom, they don't release this publicly, but I believe it's on the same, like during this cycle, they've had tens of millions of people that are actually using Phantom. Um, and the problem is basically you come because you see someone make money and you're like, okay, I want to participate in that. I want to make money too. And then you participate in the trenches and you get rinsed, right? You like buy some bundled shitter and they just insta dump and you lose all your money. And that's like not a good product experience, right? If you come to make money, of course you're willing to take some risk, but you're getting way worse odds than a casino. Like if you buy the median coin on Pump Fun, because yeah, you have the bundlers. At one point you had sandwichers, like that was a big problem. It seems like upon talking to people that that's mostly solved. And then you have the coin creators themselves, right? Like a lot of money, for example, was extracted by those people launching AI coins. Like they would just like release a coin, say they're going to build a project, and then sell the token and walk away.
Yeah.
And so that's like it's worse than a casino in many ways because yeah, your money just gets taken from you, and so you're going to leave. Like that's been the problem I think for crypto. And so in order to like make I'm basically more focused on instead of trying to attract those people, because I think people who want to make money are going to find the place to make money, uh, and so like prevent them from losing money when they show up to my system, or
And
like make it less
how do you
likely.
do that?
Yeah, so in our system, like, I mean, if you think about the typical leaks, like the leaky bucket of people's money in the ecosystem, and I think actually everyone kind of intuitively understands this, by the way. Otherwise, people wouldn't talk about like Pump Fun extracting their soul, right? Because they're just making revenue as a business, but people intuitively understand, okay, there's like a pot of money in the trenches. And as that money gets siphoned off, there's less money to go around and runners go less high, like tokens go less up.
Mhm.
And okay, so how do we do that? Yeah, if we think about the leaky bucket, there's like a big one is just, yeah, you give money to a team and then they walk away with it. So here, instead of giving the money directly to the team, you put it in this treasury that's owned by, that's like controlled by token holders via decision markets. And so they can't easily walk away with the money. They can still spend their burn rate every month seamlessly, but they can't just like walk away with all the money, which has been a huge problem with ICOs historically. And then the other thing we do is this. Well, they don't get tokens up front, so in order to actually get their tokens, they need to hit certain price targets, which are like in Umbra's case, the price needs to be 2x the ICO price before they make any tokens, before they get any tokens at all, and 18 months after the ICO date. And so both of those leaks are kind of plugged. And then another leak, like way that people have been rugged, is the project will actually be successful, and then but it won't reflect in the token, right? Like Uniswap is actually an example of this, right? The business makes money, but it all goes to Uniswap Labs. None of it's ever going to the token, probably. There's also, do you guys know like Trojan Bot on Solana?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go through the original tweets of their Twitter account, they'll talk about it being called Unibot on Solana, which is actually, it was built by Unibot. And the Unibot has gone to zero, token has gone to zero pretty much because even though Trojan has made $200 million in revenue, that's just, the team has just taken it. They've just said, this is my money. So yeah, like I think those are the main ways that we help.
So this isn't like because we've had many other conversations on our streams of how to connect equity and tokens, but really what you're trying to do is just put tokens in an equity like state where through decision markets you're saying, hey, look, the bulk of these tokens it's not just ruggable, it's just they're able to be controlled by the community of token holders. So is what you're doing just kind of giving token holders quote unquote rights or the ability to control, what's kind of being done with the supply?
Yeah, token holder protections, token holder rights, and ownership coins. That's like the key thesis here.
So
I
help me
love this
understand,
model.
if I'm a founder and I want to earn tokens, there's two things I need to meet. Number one, like a market cap goal, and number two, like a time-based goal. So it has to be post 12 months is what you said, and maybe that's changeable. But post 12 months and a certain market cap goal. Am I getting that correctly?
18 months, but yeah.
18 months. Okay. So that obviously incentivizes long-term building. If you're here for 18 months, first and foremost, congratulations. Does the market cap have to stay over that level or just hit that level?
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-month TWAP.
Oh, okay.
Got you. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
when it comes, yeah, I'll take this next one. When it comes to uh it- when it comes to these projects that are launching, do you see more well-funded teams? I mean, I mean, if you're coming in with like 18 months of a time horizon, and that means you have to build long term. To build long term, you need to be able to sustain and have a runway to complement that. Are you seeing more kind of well-funded teams? Did they raise before, or are most of them self-funded? Like, what's the setup that a lot of these teams have coming to MetaDAO?
They're generally bootstrapped before MetaDAO, so self-funded, and then yeah, they raise money on MetaDAO and use that to build. I mean, yeah, OmniPair raised $1 million. That's like a pre-seed round. And then Umbra's obviously has, yeah, I guess $14 million committed, so definitely enough for them to build.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So are you doing anything or interested? Because, and I, not to keep coming back to this, but on the equity side, do you think that these tokens should have some sort of intrinsic value, um, outside of just being a token, like a tie to equity or tie to or a claim to companies' earnings or growth
and
in that
I'll
sense?
and I'll also add something along with that question. Do you feel like equities is moving backward and tokens are moving forward? Like, what's your view on that?
Um, okay, actually, so the first question is like, are we trying to create utility other than cash flows? Like, yeah,
I
I guess
guess
what
I
do you?
guess the question is, do you think that should have a claim to real revenue? We're seeing launchpads pop up now trying to basically problem of having these tokens having no utility, right? So they're like, let's
Right.
make them tie to equity of the company. Are you guys interested in having an equity tie or a flywheel tie, or like what kind of utility or value do you think these tokens should offer?
Yeah, I mean, so the all the revenue of the project needs to go back into that treasury that I mentioned earlier. Because if not, it would be like equivalent to the team embezzling money from like a company, right?
Mhm.
It's not their money, it's the project's money.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that is the utility.
That's really interesting. Is that the utility for the meta token as well? What's the
Yeah,
utility
we
behind that?
use our own model. So like Meta is an ownership coin on MetaDAO. All of our we have a legal entity, and all of our IP is owned by that legal entity, and all of our revenue would need to flow back to the MetaDAO treasury.
And then what at that point it's kind of voted on, what's that used for, as in forms of reinvestment, dividends, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Okay. And what would you say, for a dividend model? Like we talked earlier, the community doesn't always know what they want. I think Steve Jobs famously said that, people don't actually know what they want. So, like, what happens in the case where you have the community say, "Hey, this is a brand new startup. Really, the money should probably be getting reinvested, but we want
Yeah.
dividends. We want a piece of it now."
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I guess obviously people can be stupid, like people can do that, but probably, yeah, I think you should reinvest it. And like I actually think most of the time the market is probably going to reinvest it. The problem historically, like why have crypto people wanted buybacks and like dividends so bad is because they know that if they don't get it, then that money may just disappear, right? It may
Mm.
Mhm.
like never go to them. And so you kind of need it now if you have it. Um, versus here, I think there's like a more convincing angle as to like why, okay, if we reinvest this in the business, I still own the business, right?
I think this is an amazing.
I think that's a fascinating. Yeah, I
Go ahead,
really
bro.
do like that model. Maybe give us an insight into like roadmap and future plans. What are you guys like currently most excited for and working for? I think Chill just said it's a really interesting model that you guys have built, and I think it does kind of tie naturally the intrinsic value of these companies to the token holders, and it has their best interest at heart using this model. What are your kind of future plans with this?
Sure. I mean, just scaling it out, right? More entrepreneurs, more investors, like more people on the participating side. Um, and I think the key constraint there is entrepreneurs. Like, we need to make a best in class product for entrepreneurs where doing this is easier than raising a venture round,
Mm.
which sounds ambitious because of the whole governance angle. But I think, yeah, we're not that far away. And like one thing that you can do here that I think you can't do outside is just raise faster, right? Because of the stronger token holder protections, I think you can legitimately ape first and do due diligence later, right? Like, because if the team turns out to be bad or malicious, like token holders can raise a proposal to return some or all of that money. Um, and so, yeah, like I think that will enable entrepreneurs to raise faster. Maybe instead of a month or a few months, it'll be like 4 days, right? But yeah, other things that we're thinking about as well on that side, but basically just like building a world in class product for entrepreneurs,
And so
best in class.
question that I have is so you brought up Unibot earlier, and I always go back to this, and this is kind of what pushed me in the direction of ICM in the first place. Unibot was an incredible company. It made a product, that basically like kicked off an entire meta, similar to what you guys did actually with Futarki. But they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and like you said, they basically siphoned that money out of crypto, right? And they made a lot of decisions that the community did not agree with. So in a case like this, if if a project like Unibot was launched on MetaDAO with that treasury, let's say they've already been successful, they've already made hundreds of millions of dollars, but then for some reason they start making some crazy decisions that really affect the health of the company. Can the decision markets make a decision on where the treasury is allocated as well? Like, can they just say, hey, look, this is done, treasury split up amongst token holders and we go about our day?
Yeah, and that's already happened.
Wow, that is
Can
amazing.
you run
Yeah,
through that
run through
example?
that for us.
Sure. So Mountain Capital was a fund that, or like it tried to be a fund. It raised on MetaDAO, and um, yeah, there was basically people were not happy with how fast deals were getting brought to the fund. Um, and yeah, so the fund over like three proposals, basically community members, like people who were not insiders, just people who owned a large chunk of the token, created proposals to do uh liquidations kind of like they so the first two proposals were buybacks up to the net asset value. There was so it launched at 58 cents a token, so there was 58 cents of USDC in the treasury for every token. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 58 cents of USDC in the treasury for every token. It was trading below 58 cents. It was trading around like high 40s, low 50s. And so this guy created several proposals to buy back the token up to 58 cents a token with like the first one was $1 million, the second one was 1.5 million. And then at the end, we basically said, okay, like this is not working out. So let's just liquidate the entire thing, and then did a liquidation. And because of trading fees, it ended up being around 60 cents, 60.5 cents per token. Everyone got back who participated in the ICO.
That is really interesting because I mean, I think that really highlights holder protections that we haven't seen before in crypto. Like, normally you would just get rugged and the founders would leave and never come back. But like in this case, they actually got that claim and a vote passed. I do think that's fascinating. That's actually worked, and you have an example of that in the past. Chill. Maybe you want to speak on that too. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we lost Chill. Chill, you with us? Okay. Well, he's not with us. Nonetheless, we will pivot. I think that's really cool. And I haven't seen something like that before, so I'm really interested in exploring that a little bit more. Another project that's ICOing on MetaDAO is Avora. Maybe just I'm not sure if you want to touch on this just like you did Umbra or not.
I haven't spoken that much to the Evora team. I would like to talk a bit of Vici, if you could pull up a Vici money on Twitter.
Yeah.
And while you pull that up, apologies as my where my power flickered on and off for a second there, and so I lost connection briefly. But either way, I really like that example of what you mentioned with the hedge fund. I mean, I think I missed just the tail end of that, but I think that's really important for everyone to understand that there is an ability to create like token holder rights and just keep things solely on the token side. I think there's a lot of conversation between, tying it back to equity, but you can create this sort of controlled environment through decision markets. And you're actually blowing my mind with this right now, Profit. So, I mean, amazing conversation so far. And thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hey, and I want to pull up Avicii money. Can you tell me what's the name of that
Yeah,
again? Avicii, AVICH.
AVICI.
Okay, money. Oh yes, here it is. Okay, cool. Okay, let's hear about this.
Yeah, so I met the founder of this back in May. So I live in San Francisco, and he was in the area. So I took an hour and a half Uber down to meet him because I was really excited about what he was building, and basically tried to convince him for like an hour to launch with MetaDAO. And his conclusion was basically like, okay, I believe in what you guys are doing. I think if I were to launch a token, I'd do it with MetaDAO, but I'm not sure if I want to launch a token, right? Because like there's all these problems. Like founders have been kind of burned by some token holders, just like if the token goes down, just being constantly in their DMs and their chats, being like "fuck you." Um,
Sure.
and yeah, so but eventually, after seeing OmniPair work, he was like, okay, this makes sense. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about them because it's a super high quality founder. Like he's a second time founder. The business, it already makes money. It has 4,000 monthly active users. They're growing, I think, uh, somewhere around 50% month over month. And their retention is really high. And basically what the business is like a crypto card, like spend your stable coins. So kind of like a cast competitor if you're familiar. But yeah, that's Avicii.
We've seen this neobank meta pop off recently. Is there an ETA on when they're launching? I think I might have seen it on their Twitter.
Yeah, the
Honestly, oh, the
14th.
14th,
So next
14th.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's huge. I think this will do really well. Like we said, that neobank narrative and meta has been popping off. So that's exciting. You're in San
Yep.
Francisco. How do you like it?
I love it. I mean, there's nothing to do, so just work.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're in the hub of startups, I guess, which is interesting. Going back to our BD conversation, you said you don't really like to do much BD out there, and you haven't found much value in it. But ironically, you're where the startups are.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, it's cool that there's like so many people building new stuff around me. I think it gives energy to the city. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't really interact that much with people outside of MetaDAO or crypto. I pretty much just like wake up, go to office, go to gym, repeat.
Stay in your own
Yeah.
lane. What do you say to the people, the founders, per se, that they need funding. You think MetaDAO is the best option for them, but they say, "Hey, I don't really want that control. Or I skipped VC because I didn't really want someone controlling my business. I like to have full control over my business." Would you just say, "Hey, well, this isn't for you then," or like, is there an answer
Yeah, I
there?
mean, I think if you can bootstrap, like maybe do that, right? Bootstrapping, I think, is a totally legitimate option. Um, if you need capital to grow or scale your business, I think like doing an ownership coin is the best way, especially if you're crypto native business, because yeah, I mean you get to align CT and your users and believers with you, right? They actually have a stake in what you're building. I mean, MetaDAO has massively like been helped by the people that own MetaDAO tokens, just like shilling it and telling people about it and testing our products. Um, and and yeah, I mean, I think the other ways of launching a token are not really that great. Like you can go the VC playbook and then you're going to launch a low float, high FEV coin on sexes, and it's probably going to go down because you concentrate all your demand around the TGE, and then supply comes later, like all those unlocks. And then, I mean, yeah, if you're a serious person, you're probably not considering launching on Pump or Believe anyway. But yeah, so basically that's the pitch.
Why do you why would you include Believe in that when you say that? Just out of curiosity.
Sure. I mean, I think it's a bonding curve based system. Imagine you're like a founder that's trying to convince an engineer to join your startup early, and you're like, "Hey, you're going to get 1% over 4 years. That's the typical deal." And then you have to explain, "Oh, yes, there was someone who was able to buy 1% for $150 on the bonding curve, but like, don't think about that, right?" You don't have to think about the fact that you're working for 4 years for $150 worth of tokens. I think that's like one way. The other thing is just you don't raise that much money, right? Like the top most hyped project on Believe, which I think the one that's made the most fees is ironically a meme coin, like the startup one. But if you look at Polycule,
Probably.
it's raised like $1 million in fees, right? Uh, which that's okay, but that's the most hyped, like most traded project on Believe, or like one of the most. If you look at the median, it's like 100K, right? It's pretty hard to build a business on 100K. So that I think is like a big core reason.
So you just think flat curves are the answer, or like time decay curves? Obviously, you think dynamic bonding curves for most established businesses are just not the answer. What do you think is the
Yeah, just
answer?
fixed price ICOs. Like everyone gets the same price. Yeah, I think that is like it feels the most fair, right? If we all participate and everyone who participates gets the same price, there's no like there's no sniping or whatever possible.
What happens to oversubscribed ICOs? Obviously, like this Uber one's got 14.5 million, like we talked about, raised. He's probably not going to take the entire 14.5 million. What happens to the oversubscribed
Yeah, it's
stuff?
all pro rata. So if you invest or if you put in like $1,000, then and it's say 2x oversubscribed, in this case, maybe he takes 7 million, then you would get half your USDC back.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I don't know. I think that really covers all the bases for me. I think this is super fascinating. I love this model. Because like you mentioned, the unruggable model. I got to work through it. I got to see some more examples, I think, but it's a really interesting innovation and way to look at the markets in a crypto market that's largely been just like no benefits for holders whatsoever
Right.
at all. When it comes to like no buybacks, no stake in the business, you could get rugged. We might drain liquidity. Like there's nothing substantial to stand on. So I think it's a really fascinating conversation, and we're heading in the right direction ultimately. What are some forward looking thoughts, if you want to just leave us on something like that, that you want to give? What are you most excited about in crypto? Do you really like this whole bringing Web2 companies on chain situation, meta ICM narrative we're kind of seeing? Maybe leave us with some forward looking thoughts there.
Yeah, before I do that, can I ask if both of you have participated in Umbra?
No,
No,
dude, we
no.
haven't. I saw
Okay,
it
well
was
you gotta.
oversubscribed, and I was like,
You gotta. I mean, even if it's only like $50, I think just to see how the system operates, I think it'd be useful to do. I would at least appreciate it if you
I
did
think
it.
that I'll do that.
Cool. Uh,
I'll do that. I think I want to do that for Avora or for
Avicii.
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 Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Same.
And then yeah, in terms of forward looking, like what am I excited about in crypto? I mean, yeah, I think ICM is not a meta. ICM is like, or maybe it's a meta, but it's a meta that I think is going to last a long time. Like it does actually make sense. Internet capital markets does make sense that we can like fund these businesses on chain, and it's more efficient for many people, especially people outside the US, where historically there hasn't been that much venture capital. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited about our take to it. I think other people are also coming out with interesting takes. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, we really appreciate you coming on, Prophet. I think what you're building is something that's really huge. It's really important. I think that ICM, in general, is a push in a much more serious direction for crypto. But I really think here at MetaDAO, you guys are really building something that can stand on your own, and something that can likely be here for a very, very long time. So, hats off to you guys. And I know that, you guys are working on many things. So if there's any, we always tell interesting founders that we love, definitely come back if there's any big announcements, anything you want to share with your community. Definitely come back. We'd love to have you back on full mask, right? Fully masked up. We'd love to have you back, man. So awesome interview today. Awesome conversation, and really love what you're building.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, thank you guys both for so much for having me on.
Prophet, thanks for coming on last minute. And I guess maybe one last thing
Yeah.
here. Are you optimistic about the future of finance in general coming on chain, right? We're seeing pushes from Robinhood. We're seeing pushes from the SEC. Are you optimistic in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, that was originally what got me sniped on DeFi, right? I think if you have a 24/7 global instant cheap financial system, that's obviously over the long run, probably over the medium run too, going to outcompete the existing financial system, which is like every country has their own. There's lots of fees everywhere. It's not instant, right? Generally takes like several days to even just send a wire, which is basically just updating a number in a database, which is fucking insane. Um, so yeah, I am. I think like DeFi is still the future. Like the original future that we saw in 2020 is still it.
Are you doing any lobbying? We talked to some teams that have done some lobbying in the past. They want to lobby going forward for some of this stuff. Is that something MetaDAO's interested at all, or just kind of letting it develop?
We're a really small team. Like it's 3 people full time, me, my co-founder, and an engineer, 2 people part time, designer, and a Twitter intern. So I don't think we have the time to do any lobbying. We don't even really have the time to do what we're currently doing. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on and taking that
yeah,
time.
for sure.
Well, we sniped you on the wrong date. But okay, that being said, we'll let you go, Prophet. Hopefully we can get you back on at some point, and we will definitely, maybe we'll even stream it, trying this Avicii raise live, give MetaDAO a shot.
Yeah, for sure. Great conversation. Thanks for having me on.